All right, welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. Believe this is episode 23. Shout out the greatest basketball player of all time, LeBron James. Awkward silence, just kidding. Michael Jordan. So welcome to another episode. Will be breaking down some NFL. Slade will talk about how if he was the Miami head coach, he would have won that game this past Saturday. And a multitude of other topics. Slade, you got any burning or pressing thoughts you want to lead the show off with? Or are you ready to get into it?
I know we won't have time just due to, it being probably already kicked off by now. I'm on the Packers Raiders under. I don't have the exact total. I think it's like 40, 43, maybe something like that. But I think that's going to be a low scoring, gross Monday Night Football game. It's 44.5. I'm on the under there. If you can listen to this on time, knock it off.
No love for Jordan Love. You don't think he's going to put up? Yeah, I think each of the team totals are like, I think the Raiders are like 22.5 and the Packers are 20.5. Do you think one team's going to go low or do you think both are going low?
I don't think the Raiders are very good, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're lower. I think both could go lower. I don't want to start a Jordan Love debate in the first minute of this pod, but I was told today by a Packers fan he's a top 6 quarterback, so maybe he'll put up 40. I don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll check back in first thing Thursday and maybe recap some of this game.
Yeah.
But okay, let's kick off the show by let's just go through each game in the NFL. Then we'll do power rankings. Then we'll talk a little college and hopefully fit some MLB in.
Do we need to recap the six-pack?
Yes, thank you. All right, quick recap. Surprise, surprise, we won again. We're up to 8.64 units with Slade's Rangers series pending. The Rangers live are minus 1,000 to win their series because they're up 2-0 in the best of 5 against the Orioles. So hat tip to you on that one. You also hit your other 2 plays of Ohio State to cover the 19.5. It was a little dicey in the first half. They probably didn't deserve to cover, but a win is a win. We'll take it. And then you had the under in the Illinois-Nebraska, which seemed like a no-brainer, ended up being a no-brainer, kind of exactly how you handicapped it. So
yeah, I think it was 27. Final score was 20-7, so we never even really were close. I mean, there was 14 of the 27 points were also scored within like a 2-minute window. So the other 58 minutes of that game, there was 0 offense.
Yeah. So definitely good call on that one. My plays, I went 2-1. I got the Eagles to cover the 4.5 against the Rams, and I hit the Chiefs minus 3.5 to cover the Vikings. Both those seemed like pretty square plays. I don't know. They both covered, I guess, relatively easy. The Eagles game was a little bit more competitive. I know the Vikings kind of got it close, which we can talk about in a second. They got it close to the Chiefs towards the end, but was really never in doubt. My one losing play, though, was Brock Purdy over 0.5 interceptions. I guess you could call it Brocktober because he is basically untouchable. He had 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, whatever it is. People are betting him to win MVPs down to 7-1. I guess we can start with that game. Like 49ers won, I think it was 42-10. It was never close. Dak Prescott was, I want to say he was horrible. You got to give some credit to the San Francisco defense, but it was bad. George Kittle, shout out Io, had 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey looked good. This one was never in doubt.
I have 3 thoughts from that game. One, I think we just have to talk about Brock Purdy like he's a top 10 quarterback until proven otherwise. His record, his stats, and maybe it isn't always pretty, but you look around the NFL and the quarterback play just is abysmal this season. So he's probably a top 10 quarterback. I think we just kind of need to accept that, and until maybe things change. But until then, I'm not going to use him as like a knock against the 49ers or anything like that. The second thing is the part of the reason I felt good about the Cowboys maybe covering that 3.5 was in part because of how good they looked against the Patriots last week, that 38-3 win. Before the kickoff for the Sunday night game last night, I realized that maybe the Patriots are just horrible. They lost 34-0 to the Saints, and I know we'll get into that later. But pretty quickly, I was like, maybe that Cowboys victory was a lot less impressive than I gave it credit for at the time. So that was my first red flag that bet was not going to go my way. And then the third thing is just Iowa tight ends had a great weekend again. I think it's Laporta 2 touchdowns, Kittle 3 touchdowns. I don't know how you'd rank the top tight ends in the NFL, but after Kelsey, you could almost just start listing Iowa tight ends at this point.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends what you value too, because Kittle has, while he broke out this past game, he's really turned into a blocking tight end who, when they want to unleash him, they can. I mean, he had 3 catches; they all were touchdowns. It's not like they were.
Mm-hmm.
The game script didn't really need him, obviously, but it's not like he's going out and catching 10 passes a game. So
Right.
that's not really his role. But Laporta, I mean, they're definitely using him. Yeah, and it seems like a lot of good tight ends, if you will, are kind of just red zone weapons, where these Iowa tight ends are just used throughout the whole field, which is
like
pretty impressive.
Even Noah Fant had a pretty big game last week for Seattle, like a big 60-yard play down the sideline. Hawkinson is obviously the highest paid tight end. I know there's probably like 3 or 4 other ones in the league hanging around as like backups or special teams guys, things like that. But it just seems like every week.
Shout out Parker Hesse,
defensive end, yeah. Now he was a defensive end, now a tight end, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but hey, he was playing ahead of AJ Epinesa in college, who had a strip sack, fumble recovery. He had a good day as well for the Bills, who lost to your Super Bowl team.
Yeah, well, we'll just wait for my power rankings. I have a statement to make about that.
Oh, okay.
All right, are you done with this Cowboys Niners talk, or did you hit your 3 points? I don't remember.
What did Pollard do last night?
8 for 29.
Oh, okay, Keel. I told you guys I'm not a Pollard guy. You're starting to see why.
He did have 4 catches for 35 yards, but yeah, it's it's interesting. I mean, he was going against the Niners defense, though. Like, who's going to go up against the Niners and have that good of a game? No one's really done that yet. But we'll keep an eye on that. We'll do a little Tony Pollard watch every week. All right, since we talked about the Patriots, let's just skip to them real quick while it's fresh in our minds. I am officially denouncing my fandom for Mac Jones. He is not an NFL quarterback. He is a shell of what he was his rookie year. I'm not sure if that's because the Patriots had better pieces his rookie year, which I don't even think is true. I don't know what's wrong with him. I think he's lost all his confidence. He's thrown 4 pick sixes in his Patriots career, which is the same as Tom Brady had in his how many ever years he was with the Patriots. He's a liability. I don't know what Bill Belichick's going to do. He's ruining Bill Belichick's reputation. I will not stand for that. I'm still a Bill guy. I'm still a Patriots guy. I'm just not a Mac Jones guy. He needs out. But their only backup is Bailey Zappi, and they cut him and brought him back in the practice squad, and now it's kind of awkward. So I don't know who they're going to go to. They're just going to have to throw this season in the trash. So I apologize for our over 6.5 Patriots
Don't
play.
say our. That was you. That was there you go.
My play.
That was not me. I oh man. The Mac Jones stuff. I'm going to do a quick victory lap because I had to hear about this like all of 2021 when Fields was like backing up Andy Dalton and Mac Jones was winning games as a manager. And I think I was the only one in our friend group who knew that he was not a guy, but I had to kind of wait my time, and eventually, things come around. He doesn't have any weapons. I'll give him that. His running back, Stevenson, sucks. I don't think you can blame the play calling. everyone used that last year as an excuse, but my question is, why did Bill let that happen? We still haven't really got a good answer for that. Bill is 70-something years old. That this vaunted defense is not good. I know Mac throws picks and turns it over, and like I also think Mac Jones has lost the locker room, and I think that has something to do with it. I don't think he has that like the faith of his teammates. I don't know. I think Bill Belichick is in his last year with New England. I don't even think that's a hot take at this point. He's like top 5 shortest odds to get fired at this point, and that's kind of crazy to say. He's on a list with like Eberflus, Rivera,
Yeah.
Staley. Like it's
I,
not
I
good.
think the only way that would hit would be if no coaches got fired in season and he was just fired first after the season. I would have a hard time believing the Kraft family would fire him in season after all he's done for the team. But also at the same time, like if you have a coach on your staff that you haven't fired yet, that means you can't interview for interview other head coaches, and you don't want to be stuck last in that coaching cycle of
Well, they're gonna
picking
hire
just whoever's
Mayo or
good.
whatever, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. If they, I mean, that's Bill's choice because Bill thought he would go off in the sunset. Do the Crafts want to do that? I don't know. You mentioned a couple other names: Eberflus, Staley, Rivera. Your boy Bill Simmons says that Bill Belichick could go to another team. Do you think it's realistic he could end up with the Commanders or for the Chargers or somebody else?
I did hear him say that, but I also heard him say, "Why would those teams want him right now?" And I think he brings up a good point. He's like, "What 7? He'll be like 73 next season."
Yeah,
Um, I mean, it might take him 2 or 3 years for whatever quarterback he gets to develop, and then by then he's like 76. Like he's probably I don't know, man. He hasn't won a playoff game in 5 years. It just seems like things have just been dysfunctional for a couple years beyond just like the wins and the losses. So I wouldn't if the Bears hired him this offseason, but this way I would not be excited about it. I would be like I don't know. If you would have told me 5 years ago I could have Belichick, I would have been like, oh, please sign me up. But just like right now, it just seems like he's on his last leg.
yeah. So yeah, with that, the Patriots got destroyed, and they are the reason why our secret pod play lost. So also, I
That's
want to
why it's
apologize for that.
that is that is why it's secret. We don't have to take any blame.
The other two legs hit though, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, in fairness to us, we were searching for that third leg. So we didn't feel that was the one we didn't feel good about. We knew the other two were
Yeah,
safe.
yeah,
We just picked the wrong one.
yeah. Oh well. Okay. Saints, they played well. I don't know. I mean, that it wasn't even a game. I don't take a lot away for the Saints. Derek Carr looks like he's throwing okay, still not himself. Olave only had 2 catches for like 9 yards and a touchdown. So that touchdown really bailed out his fantasy owners, but that's a little alarming for them. They're going to need more production from their wide receivers if they want to win the division. All right, next game. Let's just start up with the noon slate. Or I guess we can talk Thursday. We haven't talked Thursday yet, have we?
No.
Bears. They won their first game, beat the Commanders 40-20, doubled up the Commanders. Justin Fields 4 touchdowns. DJ Moore 230 yards and 3 TDs. Probably should have had a 4th TD over that
Ref screwed him,
missed.
yeah.
Yeah, the ref screwed him on that out of bounds call. So I don't know. Were you? I mean, I know you're happy the Bears won. You're probably upset the Bears won. How you feeling after that game? What do you expect for them
I
coming up?
I told you last episode I was worried we were gonna win. That was why.
Yeah,
I had a feeling we were gonna win. I also told everyone I was on the over. I think that was pretty I think they probably almost doubled that. I think the Bears went over by themselves. Um, I still don't see them winning a lot of games because of their defense, but the offense seems like it's finding a rhythm. I think they've consistently put up points. They haven't had a game where they've scored like single digits or like 14 or anything like that. It's been right around 20 plus every week.
I know all 5 of their games have gone over. So
Yeah,
the issue is more their defense, I guess.
yeah, defense is really bad. I mean, it's like at the end of the like it felt like we were going to blow a 24-point lead in the second half, and that's pretty tough to do the week after you blow a 21-point lead. Like honestly, it was kind of like the Commanders had to like turn the ball over or just have some like fluky things happen for us to get a stop because they can't do it on just normal downs, on just downs or like forcing a punt. And when you give them 4 downs, it was like, oh, they're going to score at will the whole second half, and that's pretty much what happened. The second half did get gross though, because like the Bears lost, I think 6 starters between offense and defense in that game. So I guess the
Yeah,
tank is still in good shape because of that.
Khalil Herbert going down. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, he went down. They lost their starting center, and the snaps were like over Fields' head a few times. Like I
Yeah,
think he like batted a ball or like threw one up, and like it off of bounds. Field picked it up and ran it. Like it got a little dicey at the end. We were down to just a fullback at running back, so we lost our
it's
top
rough.
3 running backs, and yeah, it was not good.
It's rough. Hey, but
Caleb,
you got the win. If
yeah,
we look at the NFL draft order right
we're
now, I
still one
think
and
you
two.
guys, yeah, you're still, yeah, Carolina's 1, goes to the Bears. Bears are 2. So you really needed that Denver win over the Jets. I think we can talk about that game right now. I think that, sorry, you guys, are you done with Bears talk? Or you want to add
I was
anything
just
else?
gonna say that there is some buzz of like, is Fields the guy now, and all this stuff of
No.
like, do we trade the number 1 pick if we get it, and like keep Fields? This is a week to week overreaction thing. In 2 weeks, if we just go and get blown out, that's not going to be talked about anymore.
Could you imagine if the Bears went 3-14, but Justin Fields had like crazy good numbers and you guys passed on Caleb Williams?
Yeah, I think part of it too is people are starting to like, I want to say cool off on Caleb Williams. It just seems like there's kind of some skepticism with like the based off that Colorado game, and then last Saturday it was like some of these plays he's making are not NFL. Like if I'm being
Yeah,
unbiased, like those are not NFL situations he's going to find himself in with guys wide open, 10 seconds in the pocket. Playing Arizona State is not a
it's not
Big
the
Tell.
49ers.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just different. So I think there's
Yeah.
some people that are like, it is still a dice roll, but yeah, I'm not in that camp. I'm still in trade trade Fields this offseason. Hope the Panthers keep losing. Hopefully the Bears finish somewhere in the bottom 3 themselves, and then you can still be in the Marvin Harrison Jones conversation with your own pick. But really, it's about the Panthers losing. That's who I want. That's more important than the Bears losing, obviously.
Yeah, so Lions beat the Panthers 42-24. That one was never in doubt either. Jared Goff, another huge game, 3 touchdowns. Bryce Young had 3 touchdowns as well, but a couple interceptions. Just a pretty dominant performance. I think Carolina looked a little bit better offensively, which is good. Adam Thielen had 11 for 107. I don't know how much longer you can really rely on that, but they were moving the ball well.
He's the only guy that Bryce Young throws the ball to, it feels like. He's like his safety blanket. It's like
Yeah.
Iowa throwing to tight ends. Bryce Young is like that with Adam Thielen.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, Detroit had some injuries too. They were missing Monroe St. Brown and
Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs. So their offense still putting up 42. That's pretty indicative that Dan Campbell's got that offense rolling. So
Is
that's
it Ben
good.
Johnson?
Yeah, as the OC. Yep.
Future Bears coach?
Future Bears coach. Yeah. All right, let's hop across the pond here. Who would have thought that the Bills flying in Friday was a bad idea? They lose to the Jaguars 25-20. That's my spin on the game. That's the only reason the Bills lost. The Bills underperformed because they did not get to London quick enough.
I
The
was going to
Ravens
say
are getting there
that's a nice excuse.
The Ravens are getting there today. That's a 4-day difference. That's insane. They slept walk through half the game, and Josh Allen did enough to win, even though he fumbled 3 times.
Josh
I
Allen
don't
did
know.
enough to. They had 7
Sorry,
points with like 4 minutes
sorry,
left.
sorry, sorry. I meant Trevor Lawrence did enough.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
Sorry.
I saw all the excuses from like Bills fans of like, oh, they were missing some players on defense, and it's like, well, your offense had 7 points with through the first 56 minutes of that game. So I don't really know if you can really blame the defense. If anything, the defense kind of held it together. Like it seemed like the Jags kept moving the ball and getting first downs, but for whatever reason they wouldn't find the end zone. Kind of kept them at bay, but we're still getting points on the board, just not like enough to kind of run away with it.
Yeah, it's that Matt Milano injury for their defense is huge. You could tell they were missing Tre'Davious White as well. Yeah, the Josh Allen's gonna have to step up yet again if that team wants to keep winning, and I think he will. He's my MVP pick. They're my Super Bowl pick. I'm not off that yet.
That's your official announcement?
No, that's not my announcement. All right, next we have the Titans Colts. Your boy Anthony Richardson is made of glass. He's out, AC sprain or something, some sort of AC joint injury. So he's going to miss some time. Gardner Minshew stepping up. He helped them win this game. I know that Derrick Henry, who you say isn't washed, didn't convert a key 4th and 1 late in the game. Colts got the ball back, went down and scored. Could have been the difference in the game as the Titans lost by 7.
It's the offensive line's fault. I did not get that game. Anthony Richardson, I'm kind of out on him. At least for this year, he's played 5 NFL games, and I think he's made it through like one of them. So all this, the running back stuff might start being thrown his way at this rate, because it seems like every time he gets tackled, he's hurt, and he does not want to throw the ball, or at least they don't want him to throw the ball a lot. They just don't want him to put the ball in harm's way. It's a lot of designed QB runs, and I've noticed they run him a lot to his right, so then he lands on his throwing shoulder when he gets hit oftentimes. So I guess maybe they need to start running him to the left. So if he does hurt his shoulder, he's probably landing on his non-throwing shoulder.
Maybe they should just stop running him and run Jonathan Taylor. They just signed him to an extension.
There you
go. So he's there for the next 3 years. Just run him into the ground. He got his money. Now, make it worth it. Because what are the odds that they sign Jonathan Taylor to an extension? I would say 0.
Oh,
I do not think that happens.
He's done after this.
Yeah. But congrats on securing the bag. All right. Next up, we have the Ravens Steelers. So this one, 17-10 Steelers. I know you started Lamar in fantasy. That did not look good. Ravens are 3-2. They probably should be 5-0. I don't know how they lost the Colts a couple weeks ago. They lost this game. There's just something missing with that team. I don't know.
That's frustrating watching them. It seems like things are too difficult. But then they have games where like Lamar just goes off and you're like, oh, they're figuring it out. And then they go right back to this. Very inconsistent season so far from Lamar. Seems like anytime I start him in fantasy, he sucks. And if he's on my bench, he goes off. The Steelers defense is good. TJ Watt is still a stud. But man, it's like the Steelers are in first place in that division. And I think they're terrible, at least offensively. Kenny Pickett had a decent stat line, but it's a little frustrating as a Ravens AFC North better that they aren't at least 4-1 right now.
So I hate to say it, but this result, obviously it's good for my Browns, so I'll take that, obviously. But the Bengals also won. They beat the Cardinals 34-20. They're not out of the division now, too. I know we're on that under, but they're right back in it.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the win total under. I mean, I guess they could win the division and be under. I don't know the way that division's going. They've lost 2 division games. How does the playoffs work? Is it based off your division record, or is it your overall record, or what? Because they have to play the Browns again. They have to play the Ravens again, who both beat them pretty handily. So
yeah, the tiebreaker is head-to-head. So if you go head-to-head against someone in your division and you split, the next tiebreaker, or if you don't play them, the next tiebreaker is best win-loss tied percentage in games played within the division. All right, so it's division record. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind, especially if you're playing any futures. that are like, will this team make the playoffs or not? Definitely something you have to keep in mind.
Because I mean
Because
they're 1-2 in the division. So for them to have a winning record in the division, they have to run the table in the AFC North. I mean, even if they go 3-1 the rest of the way, that's 500. I don't think that gets them in because they have to play the Steelers twice. If you split with the Steelers are gonna be more than likely over 500 in the division. They're already 2-0.
yeah, I think all the teams will probably end up. How many games do you play?
3-3
You
ish,
play
6.
3-3. Yeah, yeah. But
So
there's probably one team. Whatever team can go 4-2.
yeah,
Well, chances are that 4-2 team is who's going to win the division. But I guess the tiebreaker would apply there too. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I feel like there's a chance all of them end up 3-3. I mean, if
Yeah.
the Steelers went 1-3 the rest of the way, would that surprise you? Not really.
The next tiebreaker is win-loss percentage in common games. So you'd have to actually break down the schedule to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if for the Bengals, they play the Seahawks next week, and they're a slight favorite. That's at home. But then they go and they play the 49ers and the Bills back to back. So, I mean, there's a chance that Joe Burrow just has a rough day in those two matchups. I mean, they
Yeah,
still have to play. Go
he's
ahead.
still one tweak away as well.
Yeah,
He's still not 100%. Yeah.
he still has at Baltimore. He still has at Jacksonville. And he has to play the Steelers 2 times, so one at home, one on the road, and then they have the Chiefs at Arrowhead. So I still don't see it because I see
Yeah.
2 automatic losses right there,
I
and the
agree. I mean,
49ers and the Chiefs.
we thought they were gonna win this game anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, they're
favored to
playing the
win.
Cardinals. The Cardinals are one of the worst 6 teams in the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Next up, we have the Falcons beating the Texans 21-9. This was actually a pretty fun game. A lot of back and forth here. Younghoe Koo kicked the game winner for the Falcons as time expired. I believe that was a 37-yarder. So Desmond Ridder looked good, 28-37, 329 and a touchdown. I think we talked about this the other day of he's kind of a different quarterback when he's at home in the dome. So not an auto fade when he's at home. CJ Stroud went 20-35 for 249 and a touchdown. He deserved to go number 1. I think it's pretty clear that's the case now. I think the Texans lost. I don't think they really care that much, though. They know they're not a Super Bowl contender this year or anything. It'd be nice to sneak into the wild card and get some playoff experience, but I think DeMeco Ryans really likes where his team's at already in year 1.
Yeah, it just sucks for them. They have no draft capital, basically. So the incentive of losing just isn't there. I told you last week I was on the Falcons. I know I got some pushback from some folks on that. Depending on what you got the number at, I mean, Vegas kind of nailed it. I think some people, if you got it earlier in the week, it was a 2-point spread. I think they obviously won by 2. So some folks, it might have been a push if you bought any points, or if you waited later, it might have been closer. But I don't know. The Falcons are a team that I still feel like is a quarterback away from being something. And Ridder didn't play bad, so that's what happens when you have an average quarterback performance. They look decent.
Yeah, and credit to you. I mean, the total yardage is 447 to 313, so it was a little bit. I know total yards isn't everything, but that's a pretty big gap there. So the Falcons deserve to win that game for sure. Next up, we have are we at the 3 p.m. slate? I think we are. Afternoon games. Dolphins against the Giants. Dolphins won 31-16. Tua threw a pick 6 that was like 95 yards the other way, so that made, I guess, the Giants score look a little bit better. This one was never really in doubt either. Daniel Jones got banged up again. Lucky for us, we get the Giants on Sunday Night Football this upcoming week. So
who is that against again? That game was not as close as the score. Like you said, that pick 6. That was in the 4th quarter too. So
how could I forget? It's Giants Bills. It's the Josh Allen get ready game.
Oh right. Now I get to hear about how awesome he is when when he could probably kneel the ball every time and win that game with how bad the Giants' offense is.
Yeah. The I guess more notably, one thing that I read today is Devon Achane for the rookie running back. He is getting his knee looked at. They didn't really release any details or anything, but if he goes down, that would not be good. I know they still have Mostert, but he's like him and Tyreek Hill are two of the fastest guys in the NFL. Did you see that the Dolphins have the 7 fastest clocked running times in the NFL this year? It's like Tyreek Hill's 1, and then the rest of those guys between Waddle and Chain are everybody else.
Hill, yeah. I didn't know that, but it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me. It seems like they kind of draft towards that.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Dolphins this year. I know it's not even really a secret. I just think they're kind of fun.
Yeah, I know you're a Tua guy. You're a Tua guy. I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. Jalen Hurts got the job done 23-14. He is incredible at the quarterback sneak. He is potentially, pound for pound, he is better at the QB sneak than anybody is at anything in the world. You can't stop him. They could do it on 4th and 2
You know
and
how
they would
you
still
stop
get
them?
it.
You know how you stop them? You put them behind the Bears' offensive line, and I bet you it's not working.
Yeah, Jason Kelce does do a good job of pushing there. Yeah, Jalen Hurts had 15 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown, threw for 303 and a touchdown. Stafford looked good. Him and Cooper Kupp kind of picked up right where they left off. He had 8 for 118. Puka Nacua caught a touchdown. I think the Rams are still a pretty good team. I think that they I don't have them in my power ranking, spoiler alert, but honestly, I could see them being second in their division over the Seahawks.
Yeah, I won't go that far. I think they're a comfortable third, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you have the 49ers in there. I still would like the
Yeah.
Seahawks a little more, but it's not like a big gap.
Fair enough. I mean, their defense is still missing a lot of pieces. It's basically Aaron Donald and a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, I think Stafford is just really just a mature guy in the room, and he just knows how to play football, and he can kind of make things work with. I mean, honestly, they actually have some decent talent now that Cooper Kupp is back, so it's not like he's working with nothing anymore.
Did you see Cooper Kupp and Stafford have a podcast together?
Do you think they'll have us on?
I was gonna say we should see if
Which
we could
one of
collab
us
with
is
them. That'd
Cooper
be sick.
Kupp? Me?
Probably just because my name's Matt, and also you're a big Cooper Kupp guy, so I'll let you take that.
I was big on Cooper Kupp before it was cool. Like literally, 4 or 5 years ago, I used to get shit on for drafting him high in fantasy. And then he went
true.
crazy. Yeah. And then he went crazy like the next year after I had him, and they won the Super Bowl.
You were on him first. Fair enough. All right. Jets 31, Broncos 21. Sean Payton probably. Has anyone gone from a beloved coach to just nobody respects him like Sean Payton? Everybody wanted the Jets to beat him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy when they won. It was nice to see Nathaniel Hackett get like celebrated in the locker room afterwards.
Yeah.
Everyone thought that he could just kind of come in and make Russ good again, and it doesn't work that way. And 2, I don't think that Sean Payton has really been that type of coach in like 8 years. I mean, he didn't do it at the end of his Saints tenure with Jameis or anyone else. Why would we think he can just fix somebody? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the same reasoning you said with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and the Patriots. So
sometimes you just have a Hall of Fame. Yeah, sometimes you just have a Hall of Fame quarterback, and it makes everyone around them look a lot smarter than they are. I don't think he's a bad coach, but people were talking about. I mean, he's the highest paid coach now, so people were talking about him like he's going to walk in and just make them a competent organization all of a sudden. It doesn't work that way. If I'm all the Caleb Williams should go to Denver stuff feels a little, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's not the worst spot. Like I used to think that Sean Payton maybe would be a great fit for him, but I don't think Russ looks any different than he did last year, other than he's thinner.
Yeah, their defense doesn't look good either. Vance Joseph is their defensive coordinator, which is pretty funny considering he was their head coach like 6 or 7 years ago, and now he's in there back as the DC.
Yeah.
He probably needs to get fired, but I mean, you can say that about so many of these teams, like the Bears we were talking about with Getsy. Just like, who's going to replace them? Like, your team sucks. You might as well just keep him, because if there's no one on your staff who has the experience, then it's probably just going to get worse.
Yeah, the Broncos do have a lot of injuries on defenses, but at this point in the year, who doesn't? Like,
Yeah.
it's some of it's luck, but like you can look around the league and just be like, that team is down, guys. The Bears are down 6 secondary players. Like, I'm not that sympathetic for teams that are that bad.
Yeah, next man up mentality. That's what the Bills are going to have. Everyone else should learn from them.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of a team that should learn from the Bills, the Chiefs. They won 27-20. Mahomes looked good. Travis Kelce got a little beat up. Taylor Swift put a Band-Aid on his ankle, and he came back out there for the second half. Justin Jefferson got banged up. He could miss some time with a hamstring injury. Your boy Butker still hasn't missed a field goal all year. Chiefs train keeps moving.
The only concern I have is, the wide receiver talent is not great. And I mean, it's pretty sad that Tony got banged up for like one drive, and I kind of got worried. I was like, who the hell's they gonna throw the ball to? Like, it just like makes the list of competent wide receivers a lot shorter when you lose him, and he's not even that good. So it is a real concern.
They've been giving Rashee Rice the ball quite a bit, especially
Yeah.
in the red zone. He caught a touchdown, but yeah, their leading receiver, other than Kelce, Justin Watson, 2 for 56, Rice, 4 for 33, Justin Ross, 2 for 28, Tony, 2 for 26, MVS, 1 for 12, Sky Moore, 2 for 11.
It's really Kelce and a
know.
bunch of guys that no one could pick from a lineup.
They should give the Raiders a call.
Yeah, that's a good
Get
point.
Devontae Adams.
I was reading something about like the wide receiver separation for the Chiefs is like in the bottom 10 in like the NFL, and like that's a very rare characteristic for a playoff team. Usually, especially nowadays, every like elite offensive team or a playoff team has at least like one or two high level wide receivers. Like, you can just go down the list. The Bengals have Chase, the Bills have Diggs, and then I mean, obviously they have Kelce, and he kind of makes up for some of that. But if you are going to nitpick them, it's the wide receivers put a lot of pressure on Mahomes to kind of improvise.
Yeah, especially with Kelce banged up. Like, the Chiefs play Thursday already.
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw the line is only 10.5. I'm wondering if Vegas thinks that Kelce sits out. It's a short week and they're playing the Broncos. They don't need him. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's part of the reason, instead of it being like 13 points, they think Kelsey's going to sit. And it wouldn't be a bad idea. There's no point of him getting hurt in that game.
No, I think Thursday is going to be a big Pacheco and McKinnon game. They're just going to run, throw some screens. They just get the win, make sure everyone's healthy, and move on, because they got nothing to prove against the Broncos.
We know they can put up 70 like the Dolphins did if they actually wanted to, but like you said, it's just who cares? It's a short week,
especially because they have the Chargers in 2 weeks. So that's
your
a pretty big game.
your actual Super Bowl pick, right?
My actual Super Bowl pick, yeah.
Super Bowl pick 1 and Super Bowl pick 2.
Next Monday night, I'm excited. The Chargers play the Cowboys here in LA. Yep. I'd like to go to the game. I think it's a little too pricey though. If you want to donate me some money, I'd be happy to go there and take some pictures for you and send them. $179. I can't do that. It's out of the budget.
Yeah, I would say the Cowboys Cowboys probably have a ton of fans in LA.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's everything NFL wise. You good to move on to college? Do you have any, or I guess power rankings?
Yeah.
How could I forget? I'll make my statement now. I want to apologize for saying the Bills would be number 1 the whole year. It's a week's gone by, and I've already moved them down to number 2. I should say that they will be number 1 in the AFC for the whole year.
Okay, that's fair.
Niners 1, Bills 2, Eagles 3, Dolphins 4, Chiefs 5, Cowboys 6, Lions, Chargers, Seahawks, and I kept the Browns in there as my final 4. I do think there's a big gap between the 49ers and everyone else, though.
I agree. I moved the Chiefs off of the 1 line for the 49ers. I think I had the 49ers 1 after week 1 when the Chiefs lost, and then I kind of changed it back to the Chiefs after they started winning. The Chiefs are winning, but I just think the 49ers, in terms of like a 53-man roster, are on a different tier than everyone else. We all kind of used Brock Purdy as like the crutch for why they aren't number 1, but if he's going to keep playing like this, it doesn't matter. I agree with you on the Eagles at 3. Part of that is just that they're undefeated, not that they're necessarily dominating teams. I put the Lions at 4. I think there's a chance that their resume so far and just the opportunity they have being in this division. I mean, they haven't even played some of the worst teams on their schedule yet. I think they have a chance to be one of the. I don't think they'll be the 1 seed, but I think they could be the second or third best record in the NFC.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of doing it as a little bit of like a what have you done so far, not as much of like a projection towards the Super Bowl in some
Yeah.
ways here too.
I think my ranking, putting them 7, is more of a projection of the Super Bowl because I just have a lot of trouble visually seeing Jared Goff going like at the Philadelphia Eagles or at the Niners or even at the Cowboys and playing well.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. But
yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I like the Lions.
Yeah, I was torn on that spot too, but it felt really wrong to leave the Bills over the Lions when the Bills have losses to the Jets and to the Jags. Um, the Lions really only have. I mean, they've beaten the Chiefs, who I have number 2. Like, I can't put the Chiefs at 2 and then have the team that beat them down to like 7 when that team has the
Yeah.
same record. It just, I have to be consistent. The Lions are going to probably go like 5-1 in the division. So I think I'm going to factor that into in just terms of like the seeding they'll get in the playoffs, where like all of these AFC teams, like the Bills, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, like they're, and then even now the Jags, who are, looks like they have a sign of life. Like they're just going to have a tougher battle for those top seeds.
Yeah.
I have the Dolphins at 6. I couldn't have them over the Bills, even though I think outside of their head-to-head game, the Dolphins have looked better. But the Bills just dominated them in the trenches. The Cowboys had maybe my biggest drop. I had them at like 3rd last week. They're at 7. Like I said, that win against the Patriots means less. And then they got absolutely destroyed by the 49ers. And then I close it out with Seattle. The Jags are back in my top 10 at 9. And then I'm putting Tampa Bay at 10. They're 3-1. I'm not confident they're going to make a run or anything like that, but they play in the NFC South. So don't be surprised if they end up in like kind of a similar spot as last year, where they're like the punching bag for a playoff spot where they just get in and with the auto seed and get pounded. But needless to say, they're probably going to be over 500, which is kind of crazy. So I don't think they're that talented. It was either, I mean, the Chargers are better than them. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so hard early in the season. I think as we get kind of towards week 8, 9, and 10, we should have a better idea of the top 10. But the teams just through 8 to 12 or even 7 to 12, it's tough. Like, I feel like there's only like really 4 or 5 true Super Bowl contenders. Like, there's only so many teams that can beat the Niners. Unless the Niners get upset, there's not a lot of teams coming out of the NFC.
It's like, I think the Browns and the Chargers are both better than like the Bucks, but there's a real chance the Browns don't even make the playoffs. Whereas the Bucks have a 3-1 record and they still have the Panthers twice. They still have the Saints again. They still have the Falcons, I think, twice. Like, they just play such a joke schedule that it's like, at least this team has a better chance of even getting in the playoffs at this point.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we're gonna have an archive of these power rankings. We'll share them on on our Twitter. Apologies for not thinking about this earlier, but we'll make sure to start keeping track of these from here on out and seeing how they kind of change over
We've
time.
tweeted a
But
couple out, so maybe we just skip
yeah,
some weeks. We have like what we had week 2 and week 4, and now.
yeah, we have a couple of them, so we can have those added. I'm looking forward. I'll make a chart of the Bills, and it'll just be like 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1.
That'll be a fun
That'll be.
graphic at the end of the year. It'll show like what teams fell off, what teams joined.
If the Bills lose in the wild card round or the divisional round, I'll still find a way to like put them at like 3. I think we'll see though.
You'll do what you said to me like last week, where you're like, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I still don't think they're the best team. Honestly, I think the Bills still might be better, though they get bounced round 1. So the chart between all, you have like 6 teams. For those who don't know your fandom, you have like 6 teams where if they win the Super Bowl, you'll celebrate it like your team won. So that's always nice that you have like a 50-50 shot that some rooting interest of yours will win the Super Bowl. Whether it's Jalen
All right.
Hurts.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the subject. I don't need this slander right now. All right, NCAA football. Give us your 2-minute breakdown on the Hawks. They won. They're now 5-1. Has there ever been a fan base that's complained so much about a team that's 5-1?
Has
Probably
there ever
not.
been a
And also,
ever been a team this bad that's 5-1 in a Power 5 conference? I don't know.
well, how come Pro Football Focus rated Deacon Hill higher than Caleb Williams this past week?
I don't know. I was listening to this pod, and they're talking about how he had 7 passes to wide receivers and only 1 was graded as catchable, and it got intercepted.
Oh, well, it was caught.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
was
know.
10-point dogs this week
Against who?
Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
So
that means after this game, we get another Talking Hawks episode. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, like, if Iowa goes out there and the offense looks decent, maybe people will stop bitching, but I don't think anyone has a reason to believe that. So, yeah, anyways, let's just get into the game. Iowa broke a long run early. Caleb Johnson is back and healthy. He said he was playing the first 2 games hurt. So that's kind of why his production maybe wasn't great to start the year. Cooper DeJean with another interception. He returned it all the way down to the Purdue 3-yard line, where Iowa's offense proceeded to go backwards and kick a field goal. So Brian got credit for 3 points where he got negative yards again. He did that multiple times last game too. It just seems like, I mean, you got to get 7 there, but even he doesn't deserve those points. Cooper does, the defense does. But anyways, really, I think Deacon played. His second half was slightly better. He started off 1 for 9, but he had 1 really good throw to Eric All for a touchdown that really kind of saved his game, saved the Iowa team. I mean, he had a QBR of 2, so it was rough. He finished 6 for 21.
Without Eric All, where is this team? Because he had 5 of the 6 catches, and the other catch went to Caleb Johnson.
And the sad part is he was brought here as like to be like, it's supposed to be like Lachey is the receiving tight end, and All is kind of that Kittle role where it's like he can't catch, but he's also a blocker. And now he's your number 1 target. So yeah, without him, we'd be screwed. You could even go back to the Michigan State game. Some of the plays he made in that game, he's been the most impactful transfer by far. Him and then probably Nick Jackson. The defense gave up a late touchdown that made the game a little more interesting than it needed to be. And then Purdue technically got the ball back with a chance to win it down 6. They went 4 plays and they went 0 yards. So I was able to hold on. Purdue is 2-4. I mean, they're really bad. My first reaction when we won that game is, how bad is Illinois? Because Purdue beat them 44-19. Then I remembered Illinois lost 20-7 versus Nebraska at home on Friday. Illinois has 0 wins against Power 5 opponents. So, I mean, I think Illinois is just awful. Speaking of the Talking Hawks pod, Hackford told me this offseason that he wanted Brett Bielema to be Iowa's next coach if it's not Kirk. I about shit my pants. So you can ask him about that. No wonder he wants to keep
Hey,
Kirk.
he learned under Bill Belichick. He knows what he's doing.
Exactly. It's no wonder he doesn't want a new coach when the only people he's ever considered are Brian Ferentz and Bill Belichick as the next head coach. So he probably won't even listen to this to hear it. So, anyways, Iowa's going to go to Wisconsin next week. They're 10-point dogs. If they lose that game, they're in real trouble for winning the West. I think Wisconsin, if they win that, they'd have to lose to Ohio State, then lose another game. Wisconsin's going to be favored in every game they play besides Ohio State. So Iowa would need to run the table, which is one thing. And then they would need Wisconsin to drop a game. So that game is obviously the biggest on the schedule. We knew that coming into the season. 10-point dogs. Wisconsin is not some juggernaut or anything. I don't want to make it sound like they are. I mean, Rutgers covered on them. The Purdue game was closer than the score. Georgia Southern, I think, outgained them. They lost by double digits almost to Washington State. So I'm not overly impressed with them. I just think they're better than us. So do we want to get into other games?
Yeah, we can just run through them real quick. Late game, I didn't watch this because I didn't think it was going to be close, but USC beat Arizona in triple overtime, 43-41. I don't want to write them off completely, but they're not going to win the national title.
USC, if you won't write them off, then I'll write them off.
Okay. USC has officially been written off. Other team I want to write off, LSU. Not that they were ever really in it, but they suck. I mean, their offense looked good, but they gave up 39 to Missouri. That's not going to be.
Yeah,
it's not going to be sustainable. Oklahoma, they won 34-30. I think Steve Sarkisian lost them that game. He did not run enough clock.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn Ewers definitely struggled as well. So, just not. I mean, it doesn't matter that much if they beat them in the
right. It doesn't. It gave because they beat Bama. They have a mulligan, so that was their mulligan. They'll play again in the Big 12 title game. I don't see anyone else really having a chance besides those two teams. I tweeted out 7 plays. I think I gave 7 plays last pod. Those went 4 and 3, in addition to the 6-pack where I went 2-0. So it was a 6 and 3 week on my plays. I was wrong about Washington State. I was wrong about Colorado by 1 point, and I was wrong about Texas. So Texas was one of my big losers this weekend. I'm not out on them totally. Obviously, I have some concerns, and I think the college football community kind of owes Brent Venables an apology. He's got Oklahoma playing defense in the first time since Bob Stoops. So credit to him there. Dylan Gabriel's a trendy pick right now for the Heisman. I'm not going that far, but it'll be interesting to see what the Big 12 looks like next year without Oklahoma and Texas, because they're the clear 2 best teams, and there's a massive gap. And with them leaving, it's like the Big 12 is going to be wide open. Like if I'm an Iowa State fan, for example, I'm probably sitting there like, we can play for the Big 12 title somewhat regularly. I mean, somewhat regular being like once every handful of years. I don't know. Iowa State looked pretty good this week. They beat TCU in Ames. Our friend in the pod network, Nicholas Bear, was in attendance. He got a photo with Max Duggan. So
yeah, I'm gonna throw that into the YouTube video for like 10 seconds right here, just so you guys can see it.
Yeah. Max Duggan, I think, is on a practice squad with the Chargers, but TCU lost. I had them in a parlay, so that really sucks. But TCU I think they're just terrible. So it's another asterisk that we can put on Colorado's win against them week 1. And then it's also just going to be awesome to watch them suck and see Sonny Dykes get exposed as the guy who got fired from Cal that he is.
Yeah.
Some other big games. Clemson snuck out a win. Drake May went absolutely nuts against Syracuse.
Miami. Do the Miami game.
Yeah, Miami. So Mario Cristobal all he had to do was kneel the ball, and the game would have been over. I think it was like 3 kneels, game's over. Instead, he runs it. Running back fumbles. Georgia Tech recovers, goes the length of the field, and scores. I would have gone absolutely apeshit if that was my team that did that. I don't know how on earth no one on the sideline stopped him. Coaches have a lot of things going on, head coaches. So, like, I can kind of see why maybe he wasn't totally focused on the clock, but someone on his staff, his OC, someone in his mic, someone on the sidelines needs to come up to him and be like, what the hell are you doing? I don't understand how that happens. Um, there was a lot of bad clock management really across college football this weekend. I think A&M had some questionable clock management. You said Sarkisian did. I agree. Some of these top coaches just questionable decision making at the end of games. Um, I don't know if you caught any of that Miami game, but I know that was just maybe the worst ending I've ever seen.
Well, I was watching it in like the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth, and I was like, I don't know, I don't really care. I'm sure Miami's going to end up coming back and winning, and it'll be fine. And they did come back and win, and they lost it for themselves.
The other big game of the weekend was Louisville beat Notre Dame 33-20. That was an
Notre
ass
Dame,
kicking.
unproven, as I've been saying all year, unproven, not good.
They won the week. I bet on them though. But Louisville, I gave them out before the year as a team that's not actually good, but is going to be ranked. So if you want to go listen to my pod with the 3 Points pod, I gave out Louisville.
Turns out they're actually good.
They're a little better than I thought. Their record is like one game ahead of where I had them. The Notre Dame season is effectively over. They still have to play USC this weekend, and they still have to play Clemson too. So we're looking at like an 8-4 team, maybe. I don't know if that. I think Vegas had them at 8.5 coming into the year, so they still have a chance for 9. They could beat Clemson. That wouldn't totally shock me. Louisville might be in the driver's seat to make the ACC title game against Florida State. Clemson's probably out of the ACC race. You have Florida State, UNC, Duke, and Louisville, who are all undefeated in conference play. So it'll get interesting. I kind of like UNC, but they really aren't proven either.
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah.
I would
I
say,
was say I don't trust UNC's defense, but
yeah.
continue.
Alabama,
Jalen
big
Milrow,
win.
baby, let's go.
Big win against an
QB1.
unranked Texas A&M team who lost to Miami. But the way the SEC is shaken up, Bama's going to have to play Tennessee, LSU, and Kentucky. Those are their 3 big games left. Tennessee sucks. Kentucky sucks. I think their only tough game is going to be LSU, and that's if LSU can score a lot of points like we've seen them do every week. Can Jalen Milrow
Yeah.
keep up with them?
Yes.
I have Alabama under 10.5 wins, but I also have Alabama over 9.5 wins. I'm trying to middle it at 10 wins. So I really need
That'd
that
be nice.
LSU game. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Be nice.
Yeah, Jimbo got outcoached by Saban. Surprise, surprise.
It's okay. Jimbo has $1 billion facility.
Yeah, and he also can buy any recruit he wants. So
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Texas A&M lost their starting quarterback for the season
yeah.
last week. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Ohio State, I think you hit on them. I had them in the 6-pack. They they looked raw. I know they won by 20, but it was not an impressive 20-point win. I'd have to admit that Michigan looks better than them. I'm kind of out on their quarterback, Kyle McCord. I don't think he's bad. It's just when you're comparing him to a Stroud, a Fields, Dwayne Haskins, like they've had all these guys that were top 10 picks. He's not that kind of guy. He's probably more in that JT Barrett realm of like, he's a top 20 quarterback, but he's not going to be the guy that, leads you to a national championship. I don't think so.
Yeah.
They need to hit the portal probably.
They just don't have those superstar players. It's just Marvin Harrison Jr. They
Their
just don't
running
have any
game,
big names.
yeah, their running back has been banged up, Travion Henderson, and then their running game just can't get going. And I think that's part of the reason McCord is struggling is they can't run the football, and basically their whole offense is just force it to Marvin Harrison Jr., make him make plays, and he does. It's insane.
Yeah, that Egbuka guy is pretty good too. Their wide receiver.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
yeah.
Oregon State, a team I took their over on their season win total. They won again. DJU had like a 5-touchdown performance. He's actually kind of
19
good.
19 for 25, 275, and 5 TDs.
Yeah, so he's balling. Michigan just keeps rolling. Michigan, they've basically just piss pounded every team they've played. I don't think they've played a team ranked in the top 60 or something like that, and that won't change for the next 3 weeks. So they basically don't play anybody until November 11th when they play Penn State, and then they play obviously Ohio State to finish the year. But so far, they're on pace to only play 2 ranked opponents this season, and that's
All right,
Ohio
that's
State.
not
Penn
their
State.
fault. They're just
It's not.
playing.
I'm
They're
just
just playing
saying.
their schedule.
I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm just saying like they're just kicking the shit out of these bad teams right now,
I'm
and they're going to
sure
continue
when
to do
they,
so.
I'm sure when their AD put together the schedule, he thought that East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green, at least one of them would look good on their resume. Sorry, it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah,
3
part of
cupcakes.
yeah. I mean, and then also they avoided playing like Wisconsin as well. The East is really just 3 teams. I mean, Maryland. I guess they play Maryland, but I don't see that Maryland hanging with them at all.
Yeah.
Georgia looked back to being Georgia, and they just kicked the shit out of Kentucky. So any concerns people had about Kentucky or Georgia can probably go away for a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Oregon Washington's the big game this weekend, so I'll see if I can come up with a play for you guys on Thursday when we release a pod. I think that's the game I'm most excited about. Washington's a 3-point favorite right now. I guess we'll see if that moves at all. But right now, man, I don't know. It's actually now down to 2.5. Those are the 2 teams I kind of like the most in the Pac-12, so I don't know which way I'm going to go yet.
I
It's in
think I would lean
Washington.
Oregon. I would lean Oregon because I know Washington, they lost their starting center for the year a couple weeks ago. I feel like that's going to come back to bite them sooner rather than later. But yeah, that's the good morning game, or I guess afternoon game. There's really not anything else great until the night where you have USC, Notre Dame, Miami, UNC, and UCLA, Oregon State. So
Yep.
other than that, kind of a light week.
Yep,
But
I agree.
2 weeks
Iowa,
from now, 2
Wisconsin.
weeks from now, we got Iowa, Wisconsin.
Neither
Sorry.
team is ranked, so that's part of the reason it's not going to get much love. But it is the Fox game.
Yeah. 2 weeks from now, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington State, Utah, USC. We got some good ones coming up. All right. I think that's it with college football. We'll start researching for the 6-pack. I know we'll talk to you guys again in a couple days, but real quick, rapid fire baseball. Who do you have winning each series as it stands? As it stands, the Phillies are up 1-0. The Diamondbacks are up 1-0. The Twins and Astros are tied 1-1, and the Rangers, who we obviously picked, are up 2-0.
I am a little worried about the Astros. They got pounded last night. I'll say all of these games so far have been like all the series have basically been sweeps except for now this one. And then it seems like a lot of the games haven't been close. So that's been the only disappointing thing about this postseason. I do have a parlay that has the Diamondbacks and the Phillies winning, so I'm obviously rooting for that. I think the Phillies can get it done. I feel pretty good about them with Wheeler and Nola left. I don't feel great about the Diamondbacks still. I just don't know if they have enough frontline starting pitching. What is the other series? Oh, the Rangers are going to win. I still would take the Astros. So I'm not sure if I missed any other series.
D-back? Did you say D-backs, Dodgers?
I think it's going to be the Dodgers. I don't want it to be. I think the D-backs are slight favorites right now. The Dodgers announced Lance Lynn as Game 3 starter. I feel like he might be. He's kind of a veteran bulldog guy. He might go out there and give you a good 5 innings.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm rooting for the D-backs though.
I'm gonna take the Braves. I'm gonna go super chalky. Braves, Dodgers, Astros, Rangers, Texas Rangers. I think it's gonna be those 4. But the Braves have their hands full, so we'll see
What do you have
there.
on the Packers Raiders tonight?
I have a boring game. That's my prediction.
Yep. I already said the under. I think the Packers are going to win, but I have that parlayed as well. I know no one will be able to hear this in time. I just want that on the record.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love will look like shit, but his fanboys will act like he was good because his team won and his defense outplayed the Raiders' defense and blah blah blah.
AKA me, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, Slade. I know that today was a tough day for you and your NCAA dynasty lost your 152 game win streak. So thank you for hopping on and still churning this one out. We appreciate it.
Toughest battles to the toughest soldiers.
True that. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining in. This has been another episode of Bet GPT.